Hello friends, this is Bristol Ivy. I'm coming to you from my studio here in Bangor, Maine, where it is currently May 9th and it's snowing, so that's delightful. This is the very first episode of what I'm going to be calling the KOBKALcast, which is such a catchy name. Knitting Outside the Box, Knit Along podcast. And basically, I wanted to just spill my guts, basically talk to you a little bit about why I do what I do in terms of designing, and especially with the patterns that I did and the projects that I did for my books, Knitting Outside the Box and Knitting Outside the Box Drape and Fold. There is currently a knit along going on for it right now. If you want to check out the Pom Pom Ravelry group, I'll put a link to that down in the show notes there. And what I wanted to do is just kind of give you some inside insight onto, say that 10 times fast, insight, onto why I made the decisions that I did in terms of the patterns within the book. So we'll talk with the dyers about the yarn type, we'll talk with the tech editors about how they dealt with me, which is sometimes an issue, and we'll talk about the patterns themselves. I keep hitting my ring on the table, sorry about that. We'll talk about the patterns themselves and why I made the decisions that I did in order to push the bounds of what we know about knitting. Because that's the big thing for me. Like, we come at knitting with such reverence for what it has been in the past, which is fantastic. And I love that. And I love seeing how amazing knitting has been and knitting always will be. But I also think that a lot of times we put so much reverence on that we don't let ourselves play and don't let ourselves invent new things and don't let ourselves try new things. So knitting outside the box for me means the ability to say, yes, knitting has been done this way in the past, but that's not how it has to be done, and that's not how I do it. So all of the projects in this book, all of the techniques in this book are all about how to make that happen. So we're going to get started. Today we're going to be talking about the Carr Shawl, which is in the increases and decreases chapter of Knitting Outside the Box. I'm going to go at this like completely randomly, like picking from all over the place, because why would I ever do anything normally? So we're talking with Kim McBrien-Evans, who is the head dyer and creator of Indigo Dragonfly Yarn Company up in Haliburton, Ontario, Canada, who is the person that I used for the yarn. In this shawl, we're going to be talking about the construction of it and giving a little sneak peek of what it looks like. So hopefully you enjoy. So the Carr Shawl is basically a traditional top-down triangle that then goes a little bit bonkers. So it starts off with that basic top-down triangular shape, and I've got the sample here, so I'll see if I can show you. So weirdly enough, the shawl starts here. This is a point in the bottom border, believe it or not, but it starts like a traditional top-down shawl. So we start here, we do our cast on, we do our increases until we get to the end of this lace panel right here. Okay, so we still have that basic triangular shape, but then we take this side and go off that way, and we take this side and we go off that way. So it takes a basic concept and then says, okay, we know the math behind the increases and the decreases, let's have fun with it. So I did a little bit of a mock-up with some tangrams so we can kind of play and see what the bits and pieces are as those come together. So like I said before, the basic structure of Carr starts with our top-down triangle. We start with this section right here, cast on there, and then increase out at the spine and at the edges, same as we're used to with basically any top-down triangle. The weird thing is that we're just going to then whoop, turn it all the way around, and then we add wings to it. So the right wing continues off from there, and the left wing, let me find this in the pile, continues up like that. And how we do that is, on this one, we continue increasing along this edge, but we decrease along this edge at a much higher rate. Okay, so that keeps this edge continuing, but brings the fabric into that point.
And here we've stopped increasing completely. If we continued increasing, then our work would continue going off this way, same as we have here. But if we stop increasing, our fabric goes straight up along that edge. And I've decreased down along that point. So believe it or not, this length and this length are identical, or mostly identical. It's knitting, you know, sometimes things happen. But what this means is that you end up with this really interesting structure and wearable structure where the cast on is right here, like it's 2/3 of the way down the right edge. Crazy. I wanted to show you too how you can continue to play with this. So these are two options, but what would happen if I flipped it that way? And what would happen if I flipped that one that way? Let's move it down so you can see it further. What would that look like? That would still work. The math would be slightly different, but it would still work. What about if I just did that one? What about just that one? Or I could keep playing. I mean, I brought in hosts of different shapes you could play with. What if I kept it going down that way? Had this edge be significantly larger than this side? Why not? Or I could take a piece like this, bring it up that way, maybe have an identical piece, have the wing go up that direction. Or I could change it around, have one go that way and one go this way, or I could have both go this way. That looks like a Star Wars ship. I can have more than one triangle. So what if I had two top-down triangles and put them together? I could put edges on them and make them a rectangle. Could even spread it out further. Put a piece of bias knitting in there. Could take that away entirely. That could be a shape. That could be a shape. That could be a shape. What else? How about those two together? I like that one less. What if I flipped that this way? What would that look like? Because I could do that too. Or if I did that. Or those, or these individual triangles could come in. I could bring that in here. Could even bring it in up here. Have one of those there. Two of them. Could flip them around and have a full square. Have just three of them. Could have those three, and then that over there. Or I could have this guy come in and continue like that. I actually have a shawl that does that, and this continues all the way up. It's called a cream shawl. It was in a collection I did called Frost Flowers. I could bring this one in, have an edge like that. So no matter what, like all of these pieces are based on that same increased structure that we know from a top-down triangle. So we have this basic shape and we can play with it in so many different ways. And that was really the basis for how the Carr Shawl got started.
So as you can see, playing with that construction and starting with that simple shape that we know and kind of riffing off of it in different constructions is a really, really fun way to play. And I can't wait to kind of keep going with it and keep playing in different directions and different structures. One thing that I did do on the Carr Shawl that I thought was important is that I kept the rest of it relatively simple. It can be really, just moved my table, it can be really intimidating when you're working on something that is a non-traditional construction to then also have to throw in lots of additional stitch patterns. So everything that you see in the Carr Shawl is based on just a 4-row simple lace repeat, and I'll show you some photos, some actual pretty photos from the photo shoot. 4-row lace repeat and garter stitch, just very, very simple, keeping the rest of it clean in order that it not become too overwhelming, because I think that is an important thing for me with knitting. Like, I want it to still be approachable. I don't want it to be something that is so completely far off the standard that it's hard to work with and hard to approach. So that was a big decision-making process in that. It's named Carr because of a Canadian artist named Emily Carr. And that came from the brain of Kim Evans. I asked her who she would recommend to name this. All of the patterns in Knitting Outside the Box and Knitting Outside the Box Drape and Fold are based on really strong women and various pioneers in their fields. So Emily Carr was an absolutely amazing artist, total pioneer in the field of women's art in Canada. Kim was a big reason that I wanted to go with that. So let's talk to Kim herself and kind of see what she has to say about this yarn, about Indigo Dragonfly, the whole shebang. Hello, my dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just surviving. You know, okay, so this is the thing that I've been thinking about for weeks now. Have you seen Shaun of the Dead?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know the bit where they meet multiple times?
Gallery.
Yeah, I'm all down for Peanut Gallery. So you know the bit in Shaun of the Dead where they meet Jessica Hines? I don't know her character name, but they meet Jessica Hines multiple times and everything. I'm like, oh, you know, surviving. And then it gets progressively more like I'm surviving. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. But you know,
the only comfort is that everybody in the world is in that same boat.
Exactly.
It's the only thing that's keeping me sane.
Although not as many of them as I would have liked understand my Shaun of the Dead reference. That makes me so sad. I'm always like, you know, that part with the thing. So
we're here for you.
Thank you. It's our job to educate the masses on how friggin' awesome Shaun of the Dead is as a movie and how appropriate it is for current situation. So, I wanted to talk to you today because we're calling this the KOBKALcast because it's the Knitting Outside of the Box Knit Along podcast. KOBKALcast. So we're currently in the middle of a knit along for all of the patterns for Knitting Outside the Box, of which you were kind of a big part of one. This is the Carr Shawl currently displaying on me. I'll be my own Vanna White because, you know, social distancing. You both provided yarn for the Carr Shawl and you also named it. So I wanted to talk to you and say hey and get to know a little bit more about Kim and Indigo Dragonfly.
We can do that.
All right. I want you to be just like, no, we're not doing that.
No, we're done. Bye.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how Indigo Dragonfly got started. What got you to the point where you're like, yarn is how I want to make art?
Well, I've been a textile artist of some description my entire life.
Okay.
And the latest thing that I was doing as a hobby was knitting when I lost my job.
Gotcha. Yep.
And lost my job, was able to get, and it was in arts administration, I was able to get another arts admin job, but it was 3 hours away from Toronto and it was part-time. Okay. And I realized I needed to pull my weight. I needed to make up the rest of my income. So I was looking for other part-time jobs, and all of my friends in my knitting group kind of said, so you make pretty yarn in your spare time? We would like some. We think you should start a business. And it took like a few tries for me to kind of clue in and go, I should do that thing where I dye yarn and you buy it from me. And so I had about 10 people that were telling me this, all from different parts of my life.
Okay, so that's a pretty good clue.
That was a pretty good clue. And so I decided I would give it a shot. Took my unemployment check and bought a bunch of yarn and dye, and
the rest
started dyeing in the 500 square foot apartment in Toronto.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
Yeah. But then 2 weeks later, I had to move up to Haliburton, where we live now, for my part-time arts admin job.
Okay.
Then Ron moved up, and it was just going to be a part-time thing. I dye a few pots of yarn every week.
Yeah, you know.
It helps us pay the rent. It makes up my part of the income. Boom, done. Ron was in a bank job, and he was going to transfer up here to the same bank company. And we moved him up here, and the dog and all of our things.
Yes.
And the day before he was supposed to start work, they called and said, we've decided to give the job to somebody who's from here. And so we kind of went, oh,
okay,
that's a problem. We went from being a 2-income family to being a half an income family.
delightful.
And the yarn dyeing had to ramp it up really, really quickly. And we were lucky because we had an organization here that was willing to give us a loan,
awesome.
specifically to keep the business here. And so we got enough inventory that Ron could start working for the business. And within a year, I had to quit my job.
That's so badass.
Yeah.
So good. And you are currently in your studio right now?
We're currently in our studio right now.
Which is not a 500 square foot apartment anymore.
Not. It's a house. It's actually our neighbor's house.
But your neighbors are not there anymore.
The neighbors
you
are
haven't
no
just been
longer
like,
there.
sorry, just gonna dig in here.
Hi, you don't really need to live here. We're just gonna move in. We were looking into building another building on our property. We live right next door, right over there.
Excellent.
And so we wanted to build a building on our property, where we live is a lot of red tape. And while we were in the process of trying to work our way through the red tape, our neighbors put their house up for sale, and we were like, let's go check it out. And it was actually cheaper to buy our neighbor's house.
Oh my gosh.
Like to build like a 10 by 10 garage on our property.
That makes perfect sense then.
Yeah, so we bought the house, and a month later we moved in and have been here ever since.
Awesome. And it means that you can basically, like, your commute is across the lawn.
Across the lawn. It's 30 seconds.
Do you ever have days where you're in the studio and you need something in the house and you're just like, oh, it's so far? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask Victoria how many times I remember to bring my lunch.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fridge with all the food it's like literally it's right over there.
Yeah. My current office. So I'm in my office right now, and it's about a 2-minute walk to my apartment here in Bangor. And do I ever go back home if I need anything? No. Do I ever come here if I need anything and I'm at the house? No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Why
would we do that?
And I'm about to share something very deeply intimate about myself. Sometimes
this is a safe space.
Climb the stairs to go pee.
Oh yeah.
So I do go home because they don't have to climb stairs. Not even kidding. There are days where I'm like,
oh, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
I'm gonna go over and do that. Yeah.
I would like to say I would never think about doing anything like that, but that's totally something I would do. So high five across the screen.
Creative knitter.
Fabulous.
And it started because both Kate and I had a similar idea for a book at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat down to see whether it would make sense for us to try to write it together. And when we wrote down everything that we wanted the book to have, the lists were identical.
Really?
But 50% of the list were things I really didn't want to do. I would do if I had to, but I really didn't want to. And 50% of the things were the same for Kate.
Okay.
And so when we started taking the pieces we actually wanted, there was nothing left.
Because you two, the terms chaos Muppet and order Muppet, like you are the pictures in the dictionary for that. So, so really true. Yeah, the fact that you found a way to put both of your strengths together is just, I'm so excited for this book.
And for it, because of it, it's a better book than it would have been if it was written by just one of us.
Okay, that makes sense.
It takes you through recipes for different shapes.
Okay.
She takes you through different techniques that are specific to shawls, cast-ons and bind-offs, and what to use where. And she has a stitch dictionary with some really easy standard lace and knit purl stitches to get you started. So with just Kate's half of the book, you could grab a stitch pattern and a shape and go to town and make
totally plug and play and be awesome.
But then I come in with color because Kate and color are
No.
And that's not my strong suit either. So like, I really appreciate getting to see
Well, no,
stuff
she
like
does.
that.
Her favorite color is black.
Yeah.
One of the things it says in the intro that I really love, Kate's favorite color is black. Kim thinks Kate's favorite color is not a color.
It's not a color.
It's not
right?
a color.
Like the technical definition is black is not a color.
No. It's an ongoing argument we have. It's
I just like to demonstrate for you that I'm wearing like every single color that's in my book. I have 2 shades of brown gray and then 2 shades of aqua.
Yeah.
And like a little tiny hint of pink. But that's so clearly I have a comfort zone, but I am excited to see what you do with color, because that's, you are obviously with the vibrant colors behind you. Yeah, you were a color chaos Muppet.
Yeah, so my part is color.
Okay.
And fabric. Do you know nobody's really written about shawl fabric? And what it should
Hot
feel
damn. You are correct.
like. I went heavy duty into research, and I did a survey and talked to designers and knitters about what they think that shawl fabric should be. So I wrote a chapter about different fibers, different yarn constructions, and how to find a shawl fabric that you really love.
Because I tend to think of shawl fabric kind of, this is awful, kind of like porn, like you know it when you see it.
It's a little bit that. So
and it's really hard to define.
Put that into words.
Interesting. Okay, I am very excited.
So how do I know what I like?
Mm-hmm.
How does that person know what they like? So I talked to a lot of people.
That's so cool.
We did that. And then there's a whole chapter of breaking the rules, where I take all of Kate's rules and I make them go slowly.
Yes. I mean, because I can see you got one of your, is that impervious behind you?
Yes.
So that's one of your like complete explodey patterns, right? Like
complete
it just
explodey.
Yes.
Like this is the shawl where people who have been knitting their entire lives email me and go, look, there are so many mistakes in your pattern. I can't even begin. Like, you really need to get a good tech editor and figure it out. And I have to sit them down calmly and say, so it doesn't matter how much of experience you have as a knitter, this pattern is structured in an entirely different way.
You don't have this experience.
Yeah, you don't have this experience. So you need to let go of this experience and just go line by line.
Yeah.
And you'll get there.
Which is so liberating. And that's one thing I absolutely love about beginner knitters too, is that they don't have all of those preconceived ideas of what knitting has to be. Either in terms of wording or in terms of structure or in terms of construction, anything like that. And so they are so free and ready to just be like, fucking, I'm gonna do that thing. And because the way that your pattern is written and the way that someone else's pattern is written, they're completely equal and separate, because this is all that they've known. This is all that they've seen. So it's so freeing, and you see such amazing things from people who make those jumps. Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I try to do normal. Honestly, I tried to do at least one shawl in this book that was just take that shape and don't do anything weird to it. And I wasn't able to do it.
It's really hard, because it's just
really hard, because it's not interesting to knit.
Well, and it's not you either. Like it's the thing, I think, for all of us that has made us who we are in this community. And I mean, not to sound like really up myself, but it's because we think the way that we think. Exactly. And it's when we try to be someone else, people are not interested. There have been so many times that have been like, okay, I see like a textured cowl with this happening and this happening. Let me try a pattern like that. And it's just like, just doesn't work, because it's not authentic.
Really, really true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Yeah.
And so when Kate and I work on designs together, what happens is that she pulls mine a little bit back to normal.
Okay.
Helps take away the parts that are really completely out there. And I push her to do something a little weird. So there is one shawl in the book that people are convinced is mine, and it's not.
And it's Kate's?
And it's Kate's.
Oh my God.
People are convinced that I wrote it. And it's because on the way to TNNA, Kate was convinced that she should do this thing that I would
Yeah.
normally do. And then she spent the entire time like poking me and saying, give me a number between 1 and 10.
And you're like, I brought this on myself.
Okay,
This
enough.
is my fault.
Kirsten
Are there any patterns in the books that you did collaboratively? Or are they each like, these are Kate's, these are
Kate's, these are Kim's.
okay.
Really and truly. I mean, we got input from each other on them,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, Kate, Kim. Completely.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would love to see what happened if you tried to write a pattern together. I'm not sure like the greater Toronto Haliburton area would survive. Okay, so to finish up with, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Oh God. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Variegated or semi-solid? You can only pick one.
Oh, very semi-solid.
Oh, you sure? You said variegated there. Semi-solid?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have pegged you for a variegated girl.
No.
Everything
No.
I thought about you.
Because you can make something look variegated with a whole bunch of colors of semi-solid.
Okay, fair.
You can't make variegated look flat.
Fair. Okay. You've completely changed the way that I think about you. Kidding.
Now, what do I like to dye?
Yes.
Honestly, I like tonals.
Okay.
I like seeing how I can make a whole bunch of different colors blend together to create like this one semi-solid tonally.
I love that. I love, because like when you look at it from a distance, it's a solid color, and then you get closer and you're just like, holy shit. Yeah. Oh, such good stuff. That would almost make me like purple.
But also, I have nothing here to show you.
I sprung the question on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather only be able to knit on US 17 needles for the rest of your life, or only use yarn dyed by a secret nemesis?
Victoria thinks this is very funny. Secret nemesis?
I don't even know if you have a secret nemesis, but like knowing all of us, we pretty much all have secret nemesis. Nemesis?
Right.
Nemesis. You got 5 seconds.
I would take the yarn because I'm a dyer, man. I can over dye that shit. And even if you take all my dyes away, there are plants outside.
There are plants. Can make this happen. Steal some
There's
Kool-Aid
dirt.
off a small child. It'll be fine.
Exactly. I need that, Rabina.
Yeah, like, this is not yours anymore, small child. It's fine. Just, you'll get scurvy. It'll be fine. It's great. What is your least favorite color? Black doesn't count because it's not a color. Brown?
Really flat browns.
Oh, I love brown.
But you like good browns.
I suppose there are some browns that are not good browns.
Yeah, like the bathroom in the studio. Awful.
That's why you don't like doing the stairs.
Well, that could also be part of it. I don't think it's worth painting that bathroom, so it's going to stay that color forever. But it's like a really flat poo color. It's awful. But like, other than that, I can't think of anything that I don't like.
Mine, this is gonna get me in trouble. I don't like blue or purple.
That's fair.
I wish I did.
You're wearing
a lot easier.
Blue and green there.
I'm okay with when it's got green in it. I'm okay. Yeah. Or when the purple has like a lot of red in it, like Sargasm. I absolutely love Sargasm, but it's got a lot of red in there, which makes me very happy. So, but yeah, my yarn stash is like entirely warm colors.
Like middle of the road colors.
Yeah, like
so,
true colors.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a true blue is kind of boring.
Yeah.
A true green, the kind of green that Victoria loves, is not a color I'm a big fan of.
Like a foresty green?
I like them to be like yellowy or bluey green.
Yeah.
And
or
then
like
I'm
bottle green.
But like that grass green, Kelly green.
I like Kelly green. I'll be done. I will wear any shade of green. Green is like, I'm going to look like goddamn Robin Hood for the rest of my life because that's pretty much all I wear.
I like this kind of green.
Yeah, that's a good green. That's
or
a really
this
good
kind of green.
Yes, I'm working with that color right now. What is the fanciest place you've knit in public?
Ooh. My own wedding.
I love that.
Where my two oldest friends in the world who like helped me find my dress and helped me organize and all that kind of stuff. As soon as they found out we were finally getting married, and it was actually going to happen, and nobody was allowed to die or get sick or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
They said, okay, but nobody's allowed to knit at the wedding. And I said, well, we're just going to put that right on the invitation. So the invitation said, taking pictures and knitting are encouraged.
Yes.
And my friends were like, and so we're in the middle of the wedding, everybody pulled out their knitting except like my 3 friends who don't knit.
I love that.
Looking around, they were like, we're surrounded.
I know. I worried a little bit at our wedding. Like it was half Will's friends, half my friends, and family. And of course, all of my friends. Like I don't know that I have any friends that don't work in the fiber industry or knit or anything like that. Like they all, in some form, are related to fiber arts in some way. And so we were all just like jamming out knitting, and Will's family was a little weird, but they now, I mean, she's also a knitter, so it's all, we're all even and good. But yeah, knitting at a wedding, that's fantastic.
I thought of another one.
Oh yeah.
Yep, the Governor General Arts Awards.
Yes.
Where
awesome.
I had to wear an actual ball gown. It was actual black tie.
I love that because that is like the biggest subversive fuck you to ball gown culture. Just to be like, oh, what? I'm gonna just keep knitting here.
Freaking Arts Award.
Yeah.
And I was there representing craft. What are you gonna say to me?
Yeah, you kind of have to. You kind of have to in that place. Okay. Which of your yarns would be best for knitted underwear? And we can go in like in terms of like absorbency or like comfort.
For all of the above, and wearability and elasticity and not falling downness and all of those things that are getting my underwear fired these days.
Right. Yeah.
Move on.
Okay. I like that plan. I think I have some of that coming my way in the greens that I couldn't resist. If humans could eat yarn, would single ply or multi-ply taste better?
Multiply.
Why?
Flavors. Flavors. No 2 plies are exactly the same.
Oh, so do you think you could
texture? Because food is a texture thing, right?
Food is totally a texture thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And single yarns are fluffy.
Anytime I have to splice a single ply yarn, I just sit there for like an hour afterwards being like,
yeah.
Okay, last question.
Yes.
If there was such a thing as a sheep tour, would you rather have a sheep body and a human head, or a human body and a sheep head? Victoria.
Do I get to keep the wool?
You do not have human hands, though. You have a human head and a sheep body. Can you knit with your little cloven hooves?
So,
yes, you would get to keep.
If I get to keep the wool, then body.
Okay. Would you then wear garments made out of your own wool?
Yes. Have you never seen like the t-shirts and cartoons of like sheep knitting?
Yes, off their own body. But you never see them wearing it again.
Oh yeah, there's one somewhere.
Yeah?
I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Find it and send it to me. We'll have proof that this sheep tour thing would work. I don't know what I would do. I think I think sheep are gorgeous. So like
my mom was a quadriplegic.
Okay.
And had one hand so weird. Everybody in my family is so freaking weird. So her paralysis was really not consistent. So
Okay.
one hand could move and do all the things, but she couldn't feel anything. And the other hand
Oh,
she could only do this,
okay.
but she could feel everything.
Yeah. Was
And
she a
so
knitter?
she had to, when she decided that she wanted to learn how to knit again,
Oh my God,
and
that's
she
awesome.
had to kind of figure out how to manipulate
That's so
just
incredible.
one hand. So
Where there's a
like,
will, there's a
closing
way.
up and nothing is what I'm saying.
All right. I look forward to seeing what you do with your sheep tour self-wool harvest.
It'll grow back.
It'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's like a quarantine for sheep, and then
Hopefully
it'll just keep growing.
On that note, Kim, I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been
Thanks for having
a
me.
total pleasure.
Awesome.
And I am super, super excited about your book coming out.
I can't wait for you to read it.
Yay! All right, I'm going to stop the recording right now. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Kim as much as I did. She is a blast. We'll go ahead and link to her shop down in the show notes again. And make sure to check out all the names of the amazing yarn because holy moly, very giggle. So that's it for the first episode of the KOBKALcast. I hope you join us again for the next one, and I hope you join us for the knit along. Thanks so much, and keep playing with those boundaries of knitting because why not?